having the mind of a woman and the body of a male. So all we are doing is trying to match the outside to the inside. Literally, that's it. Hey sweethearts, it's theeNickVenus. Once again, tapping in, welcome to my channel. If you're new to my channel, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn on all post notifications so you can be notified every time I upload. So, in this video, I'm going to be talking about what is a trans woman. And I'm going to be speaking from my personal experiences and things that I know about being a trans woman. Okay, so, I remember when I was around 5 or 6 years old, I literally felt like a girl. Like, I remember like it was yesterday. Like, I don't know, I had this thing where I'd be laying in bed and I'd be looking at my legs and I'd be thinking like, why do I feel like a girl? Like, why do I feel like a girl laying in the bed? So, and mind you, I was only 5 or 6 years old. Okay, so fast forward to elementary. For some odd reason, all throughout elementary, I would always get bullied. Like literally, I was bullied all through elementary, and I don't even know why, to be honest. Now, it could possibly be that I was like feminine around people or whatever, but I was unaware because I was so young. And coincidentally enough, I had a gay friend at the time. Now, mind you, I was so young that I didn't even know what gay was. I didn't know what gay was, I didn't know what trans was, but I coincidentally had a gay friend. And it was almost like we were best friends because we would do everything together. And I think I would get bullied because I think I was acting too feminine, but I don't know. You know, I was just being me. But literally all through elementary, I would get bullied, right? And mind you, I still felt like a girl, so I'm assuming I was just acting feminine and didn't even know. Okay, so once I hit junior high, once I hit 7th grade, and you know when you get into junior high, you're getting ready to go to a different school. So I was like, I do not want to be bullied again, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create this persona, you know, like this bad boy type of image, type of persona. So literally that's what I did. I remember I got my hair cut, I had like a little haircut and everything, and I would like look serious. I would have like this serious look on my face, you know, like try to be like one of the tough guys or whatever. So mind you, I still felt like a girl. I was always trans, but I put up this facade, you know, this persona, so people would stop bullying me. And to be honest, it actually worked. People would just leave me alone. I guess they thought, oh, I was gonna beat them up, or, oh, this person's a tough guy, or whatever you wanna call it, right? So, to be honest, I could literally be like an actress if I wanted to, because I'm so good at acting. I literally just been acting literally all through junior high, up to like high school. Then I started like, you know, realizing like, hey, I do not need to put up this persona anymore. I don't have to put up this image anymore. I cut everybody off.
Out of here is history.
I got off of social media. You know, I got off of Facebook. I deleted my Facebook. I got off of social media. I was just like by myself all the time. You know, so I was like, you know what? I don't need to put on this persona anymore. I can just be me. And I remember at the time, I talked about a little bit of this in one of my previous videos. I worked a graveyard shift. It was a site where it was just big rig trucks in the middle of nowhere. Literally, it was just me all the time by myself in the middle of nowhere. All there was animals out there, literally. So it was just me by myself all the time at night with just animals. All I would see is raccoons and deers and bunnies and stuff like that. So it was like, that was when I started getting deep into spirituality, and I started to like, you know, find myself and stuff. Like, mind you, I always felt like I was trans since I was a little kid. The reason why it offends me when biological women try to say, oh, she's trying to be me and I'm the blueprint, she's trying to be me. The reason why it offends me so much in particular, I cannot speak for other trans women, but the reason why it offends me so much is because I was never influenced by biological women. Like, no shade, but I was never influenced by biological women. Like, I wasn't really influenced by many people at all. It was very few people, and the people that influenced me were more so androgynous male singers, a few androgynous male singers, and maybe one or two trans women on YouTube. Literally, that's all I would watch. I would watch androgynous singers, you know, and I would watch very few trans women on YouTube. And this was back in like 12 years ago, whatever. This was like when you can literally go on YouTube and you can put trans and literally it would be actual trans women. This was when trans women, you know, we weren't inside of the media. There was no news outlets reporting on us. There was no transphobia. You know, there was no big YouTube channels dedicated to making transphobia content. That didn't exist at the time. Literally, you could be trans and it'll just be trans women and only trans women. So that's why it offends me personally. It makes it seem like, oh, you had something to do with my transition. The hell that I've been through, the confidence that I built. You didn't teach me how to do my makeup. I learned on my own. You didn't teach me how to do my hair. You didn't teach me to build up my confidence. You didn't teach me how to dress. You didn't teach me anything. So that's why it offends me when somebody says, oh, you're trying to be me or whatever. Like, no, because you didn't have anything to do with it, if you want me to keep it real. My personal experience, no, biological women really didn't have anything to do with it. So, moving on. This was when I was getting into spirituality. So when I was by myself, in the middle of nowhere, I would read spiritual books. I would read self-realization books. I would read religious books. I would read like all types of different religious books, girl. I would meditate. I would do all types of spiritual stuff. So this is when I was getting really deep into spirituality. Well, this is when I started learning that being trans is also a spiritual thing. And this is why biological men and women cannot comprehend. They cannot understand it because it's more so a spiritual thing. You know, I'd say it's 80% spiritual, 20% physical. So I remember like 12 years ago, right? 11 years ago, somewhere around there, I would always have this dream. I would have this dream about this woman, right? She was light-skinned, she was gorgeous, she was beautiful, right? And it was so weird because it was like she was a woman, she was beautiful, but she had male genitalia. Mind you, this was like way before I started transitioning, right? That's kind of odd, you know? There's always this woman in my dreams, but she has male genitalia. And I'm like, who is that? And it was like, it's like weird because it was almost like she was more so, like the best way that I can explain it is she was like, not quite a human. Like I would say she was like a deity of some sort, right? Like let's say if there's like ranks or whatever, there's like humans, queens, kings, deities, gods, and then God himself, you know, like, I don't know, like say if there's like some ranks. The best way that I could explain what she was like a deity, right? And mind you, she used to be in my dreams. This was way before I started transitioning. And then one day, like way later, I'm talking about way later, after I already been transitioning and everything. You know, a lot of girls, you know how we like to take a lot of selfies. So one day I'm looking through my camera feed and I'm looking through my selfies, and tell me why I look at my pictures and I'm like, oh my goodness, I am literally her to the T. Like everything about me, the way that I look, the way that I smile, it was me the whole entire time. And this is when I started catching on and noticed that it's a spiritual thing. You know, this is why when I was deep into meditation and I see my higher self looking back at me, it was the higher self of a woman. It was the higher self of me. This is how I learned that being transgender is a spiritual thing. So biological men and women can never comprehend it. They'll never understand it because they're looking on a physical perception. They're not looking from a spiritual perspective. So this is what I learned you know? Like my whole situation, like I said, I can't speak for other trans women, but my situation is like different. My path, or whatever you would call it, is different than other trans women's. Because I remember I used to go to the transgender bars, right? I used to go to the transgender bars, but it's like, I don't know, when I was like on a spiritual journey the same exact time I would go to the transgender bars and clubs. So I started noticing, like, first I'm like, okay, first I stopped smoking, right? Then I stopped drinking. And then when I was sobering up and I would go, I started noticing that inside of the transgender bars, it was a lot of negativity. It was a lot of negative energy. And I wouldn't say the negative energy was from the trans women. The negative energy was more so from the men. So what I would do, like I had a whole bunch of transgender homegirls at the time, right? So what I would do, I would get them to leave, like, hey, let's go to this other club. And they would all go with me, you know? And then I guess they would think like, oh, she just wants to go to another club. But I would try to get them out of there because I was able to see that in that bar, these men were negative. These men were full of like negative energy, you know? So it wasn't the trans women that were like creating the negative atmosphere. It was the men. The men that were trying to, you know, trying to go there to hook up and sleep with us and stuff. So yeah, you know, so I would literally get them to leave. But then eventually what happened is I was just like, okay, this isn't for me anymore. So I just took my own route. It's kind of hard to explain. It's like I'm trans, but I never been to a pride parade. You know, I'm trans, but I don't go to the transgender clubs anymore. It's almost like, this is why I have that song where I say I'm like a lone wolf, you know, because that's how I feel. I'm trans, but it's like, what I did is just start doing everything on my own. You know, like every time I would go someplace, I was always by myself. So I literally had to learn everything on my own. I had to dream about the mind of a trans woman as well. It's almost like, because I explained this in one of my previous videos, but I'll explain it again. I had a dream about this, and it was like the car kit from Knight Rider, okay? And if you guys remember the old TV show Knight Rider, it was like this car that can talk. It had a computer, and the computer would say, talk, you know, it'd be a male's voice saying, oh, talk to the guy. The guy's name was Michael or whatever, right? Anywho, in the dream, I'm sitting in one of those kit cars. And I remember in the dream, I would try to activate my computer. I would say like activate. I would say a male's name. You know, I would call it a male's name and I would say activate. And every time mine would turn on, it would fry. Literally, it would fry. Smoke would be going everywhere. The CPU would be frying, like everything, right? And I'm like, girl, like what's wrong with my computer? Like what's wrong with my car? And everybody else's, the guys next to me, theirs will be working flawlessly, right? So I'm still trying to get mine to work. I would be like, okay, say a male's name, activate, it would fry every single time, every time. But then I was like, hold on. I said a female's name and I said activate and it turned on perfectly. And it had a female voice, not a male voice like the original kit from the TV show Knight Rider. It had a female voice. And then I woke up instantly. The CPU is the brain, but the body would be like the vessel. So what this means is trans women, we have the vehicle, the body of a male, the same as the male, but we have a computer, the brain of a woman. So all we're really doing is making the outside look like the inside. This is why biological women and biological men cannot comprehend these things, because their mind is so limited. You know, their mind is limited. Even from a spiritual perspective, their mind is limited. They don't even realize that they're not the physical body, they're actually the spiritual body. So all we are doing is trying to match the outside to the inside. Literally, that's it. So if you enjoyed this video, please remember to like, comment, subscribe for future content. And until next time, guys.